This clip is brought to you by Within You Supplements. No bullshit, no fillers, just great tasting supplements to help your performance. Enjoy this clip.
You know, sometimes when you're personal training, the person will bog you down with some negative stuff that's going on in their lives.
That's true.
It's a therapy session in some ways. And when you have them breathe and concentrate on something different, they're not going to really have that time. I think an interesting thing is I think that we feel like the only way that we can communicate is with like a lot of words. And so I haven't seen you in a while, so I'm just gonna give you tons of fucking words, dump tons of words on you. And that happens a lot in personal training sessions when you're working with somebody. If you didn't work with somebody for a little bit and then they come back into this scene, or they were on vacation, or whatever the situation is, and then it's like words. But there's a lot of ways to communicate, and there's a lot of ways for us to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think the breathing, like even the breathing that you took us through, for someone who's like more shy, who doesn't want to make as much noise, doesn't want to be disruptive, for them to go and make a lot of noise. Or sometimes you see a lifter who, you know, is getting ready for a set, make some noise before they go and do their set. There's some people that would never do that. Like some people don't think it's necessary, but other people just maybe it's just not in their personality. So I think you're tapping into a lot of different things on a lot of different levels. What were some of the things that people reported back to you, like feeling in terms of feeling different from these training sessions?
I think just more focused, more present, right? I just kept them in this flow state. As I mentioned, like a lot of times you probably get it through your runs, and people fall into this flow state. People fall into it when they do their yoga, when they dance, even people do it when they play music, this flow state. And that's where we're really trying to get to, is to find that space. And most people in between sets, like you said, they kind of want to talk. They want to become distracted from whatever it is. So if I can keep them focused on the set, which is also including the breath and muscle-mind connection, and then I can keep them focused on the breath in between those sets, I'm keeping them in the very, very present state. And that's where the magic happens, is in the present moment. So that's where I try to get everybody to kind of get there. And we can use many modalities. We can use the training with the breath. We can use the cold plunge. We can use the breath work by itself. What can we do to create a level of presence so that people can really tap into a different part of themselves? And that space is just full of knowledge and enlightenment and everything. And they walk away maybe not knowing something right away from that workout, but they're more mindful as they leave my house. So when they leave my house, they're just paying attention to like whatever it is the fuck they're doing for the first time. And, you know, instead of just going back into like the same, you know, cycle of just being on their phone, being distracted, you know, addicted to that, stimulated by this, and they're just kind of just sitting there for the first time. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, I didn't notice that. I'm like, oh shit, I should do that, you know? And then they start making some pretty profound changes in their life.
That concept of being present is like, I think, honestly, the overarching theme in all of it, because I was telling you asked me if I ever meditate, and I used to do meditation a lot with, I used Sam Harris's app, Waking Up, and when I would meditate, you know, you'd be concentrating on your breath and you'd be present, concentrating on the breath. And that, it was like, I'd do that for like 20 minutes, right? But then when I got the cold plunge, well, when you go into the cold, you're immediately present. So then I just literally replaced the meditation I typically do with the cold, and doing the Wim Hof breathing in there allows me to like stay in there a little bit longer, but I am present. I'm not thinking of anything else, right? The breathing allows me to just be there, present with that. And then, like you said, it's like, what ways can you figure out how to be present during your day? And that's the thing you're doing with your clients, the breathing in between sets. It made me think, it's like many people don't have times during their day where they just sit down and just breathe and don't have anything else going, whether it's music or it's your phone or it's your TV or you're talking to somebody or you're listening to a YouTube video, but time to just breathe, that will make the biggest difference for anybody.
Yeah, that's one thing I really was paying attention to. I remember when I was like, I was like so addicted to, I think maybe the chase for dopamine or some form of stimulation. And I remember one time just sitting there and I was like, I was smoking weed, listening to music, eating food on my phone. I was like, bro, I'm like, you are a goldfish right now. Like, what are you doing? And then, so I was like, let's pull this away and start maybe leaning into serotonin in the present moment. So that's what I kind of started doing. And that's kind of hard because if you, again, identify with the brain, you then can't be aware that your brain has having withdrawal symptoms from these stimulations, from this chase of dopamine. So that was a huge moment for me. Is at first I felt that anxiety from not getting the hit or chasing the hit. I felt that anxiety, and it was like profound. And then at one point, I almost created a story like, am I depressed, or am I anxious, or am I this? Because you feel it. And then I was like, wait, no, I'm going through literally a withdrawal symptom from all of these stimulations that I've been hooked on every 7 to 10 seconds. So that was a huge awareness shift that I was able to have. And then it also like took the edge off of thinking that something could have been wrong, or that story that I was starting to create, which I think is happening to a lot of people. I think a lot of people are addicted to all these stimulations. And when they try to be better about their phone, they try to be better about their food, and they try to be better about their TV, this wave of anxiety comes on even more profound when they're trying to be good, but really it's the withdrawal from all of these stimulations. And so then they can possibly create a story like I'm, lonely or sad or anything. And then they go and get on some medication, which isn't very good, as opposed to
Adderall.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, I'm feeling this anxiety. What can I do with it? I'm like, go stand in the fucking grass and to sit in the sun for 15 minutes and be present. Or if it's really hard, get in the cold. Or if it's really hard, breathe it out. So it's about getting them to lead into these present modalities, as opposed to coping and masking it with these forms of stimulation, which will, again, just make you anxious again. So that's where everybody's at. I feel everybody's on this hamster wheel. They're first anxious due to whatever reasons, right? It could be from childhood trauma. It could be just from collective anxiety. It could be from, just poor behaviors. But what they end up doing is that they're anxious, then they dive into a form of stimulation to cope with it, and then they're anxious again. And this is that vicious loop that everybody's in, as opposed to being like, how can I get out of that? And that's why the breath work is cool, because you can pull yourself out for a moment and then be like, oh, damn, this is not a good behavior. This is not a good behavior. This is not a good behavior. And I even came up with a daily practice board on my fridge, and I don't have to do all of these practices or any of them. There's no pressure to do them, but I wrote a bunch of present activities or exercises down. And so like if I'm on my phone too much, I'm like, oh man, what can I be doing? And I see that board. I'm like, well, why don't you go stand in the sun for 15 minutes right now and get some grounding in and stuff like that. And I can check that off my board. And a lot of the times by the end of the day, it's like, now I'm not even thinking about the board, but I go and still like see what I did. And I'm doing like 10, 15 different things on that board. And I'm living in the present moment now, as opposed to like trying to be there. And now it's like becoming a whole new life. It's pretty wild.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.